June is right around the corner, and I think many of us are wondering what new classified series figures might be announced. I certainly have been. Maybe my search skills could use some improvement, but I haven't really found much information online. So, without a whole lot to go from, I've created my own list of what I think could be likely reveals. I didn't want to make a list of what I hope comes out, so to do my best to guess what is likely to come out, I'm using some parameters to guide my selection process. These are the parameters. 1. What patterns have I noticed in the past? Number of figures per wave, deluxe, exclusive, how many Joes versus Cobras? 2. Characters that have already been alluded to in one way or another. And 3. Characters who are important to the line but haven't seen a release yet. With these parameters as a guide, I will predict 8 figures to be released this June. I also have a bit of an extra prediction at the end. The predictions. First, 2 more retro card backs. They told us previously that there were only going to be 8 retro card backs. That means there are only 2 left. I think it's a safe bet that these last 2 retro card back figures will be announced soon. Based on what we've seen so far, I would not expect any characters that haven't already been released. As the line currently has 4 Cobras and 2 Joes, I would expect to see 2 more Joes. I would also expect the 2 Joe figures to be something that they could pull off fairly easily while giving the fans something they would be into. Here are my predictions. These aren't necessarily what I would hope for, but they're what I think is likely. First, Scarlett. I was on the fence about this one because it would be a bit more than a straight up repaint. However, much of the figure could be a repaint. To do the retro version of Scarlett, they would have to change up the piece on her left shoulder, give her different lower legs, and a new paint job. The shoulder piece is a soft plastic, and they've already shown that they will change the soft plastic elements for the retro figures. For the lower legs, I don't know that there's a figure that would be a good straight up swap for those, but if they did make newer lower legs for a retro Scarlett, they could certainly find use for those parts for a future figure. They would also need to create a new head sculpt for this figure to get the hair right. I think that would be the biggest obstacle for getting this figure. However, Scarlett is the one Joe figure that really departs from the original toy in appearance. Fans have been wanting an OG style Scarlett, and this would be the perfect venue to bring that to life. It might be worth the extra expense for Hasbro to make this one happen for the fans. Next, Roadblock. I know they already gave us several versions of Roadblock, but this would be the simplest route to go, especially if they go the extra mile to bring us a retro Scarlett. For this one, all they would need to do is repaint the Amazon exclusive Roadblock and give him retro style accessories. I don't think fans are exactly clamoring for another Roadblock, but I would definitely not be surprised if that's what we see. Next, 3 more mainline regular releases. It seems like they put these out in groups of 3. That said, things could always change. If they stick to the same pattern, though, I would expect to see 3. I think it's also likely that we will see 1 Joe and 2 Cobras here. For the Joe, I'm calling Falcon. I do have one caveat that I will mention in a bit for why this might not be the case, but for now, I'm putting him as a mainline release prediction. My reasoning for this pick is simple. This character has already been leaked. I'm not sure the validity of the leak, but I don't really have a reason not to believe it either. Next, Road Pig. I have 2 reasons I'm picking Road Pig here. 1, I think we're going to get plenty of Dreadnoughts down the line. I believe we'll get at least 1 for Yo Joe June, and based on comments from Lenny in the live stream, this is a character that they want to make. It is also worth noting that this could be a character for which they could reuse a significant number of parts. I would prefer Road Pig to be bigger than the other figures, but I would not be surprised to see them reuse Gung Ho's body. Add new soft plastic pieces, a new head mold, new paint, and possibly some new pieces for the legs. I think this would be a hit with the fans, and they could get away with not making all new parts. Alright, third, this one I'm a little on the fence with, as there are a lot of good options. But my reasoning again goes back to Hasbro saving costs while attempting to serve the fans. My third mainline prediction is the Televiper. This figure would require some new parts, but this figure could also be repainted for Python Patrol. So, one character design, two figures. My other piece of reasoning for this is less about Hasbro's profit margin and more about what the fans would be stoked for. The Televiper came before the regular Viper in the OG Real American Hero line. Wouldn't it make sense to get this figure sooner than later? Next up, Python Patrol. In the previous live stream, we got Tiger Force Duke with another Ram cycle. It only makes sense that we'll get another Python Patrol character next. Actually, I think it is very likely that we will get 2 more Python Patrol figures. Going back to the Cobra Island line, we got 4 Joes and 5 Cobras. Each team got 1 vehicle. I would expect the same pattern. And with that said, I do not expect another Tiger Force figure. As always, I could be wrong about this. Like I mentioned a moment ago, they could get 2 for 1 with the Televiper. I would not be at all surprised if we not only get a regular Televiper in June, but also a Python Patrol Televiper. To me, this seems like a no-brainer. That said, I've followed the Black Series line long enough to know that Hasbro tends to make some weird choices, so who knows? Maybe we'll get a Python Patrol Destro or something else that doesn't make any sense. All jokes aside, my money is on a Python Patrol Televiper. Next up, I think it is likely that we could get a Python Patrol Crimson Guard, but I'm going with what is probably a long shot. It also makes perfect sense to me based on the criteria I've set out for these predictions. My prediction, Python Patrol Copperhead with a Python Patrol Deco Cobra Ferret. My reasoning, they need to do something original for the Cobra Target exclusives. So far, it's been all repaints. I think they look cool, but they need to give us something original here. A named villain. Fans are waiting for a Copperhead, and in my humble opinion, the Python Patrol version would be a much better aesthetic fit at this stage of the classified line than the original version. Also, it is very likely that they will make a vehicle for the Python Patrol. Looking through all the Real American Hero line vehicles, also looking at what they've put out so far for vehicles in the classified series, I think the Ferret is most likely. I base this primarily on its prevalence in the original line. I think a lot of us thought they would release the Tiger Paw with Duke for similar reasons, but perhaps they didn't do the Tiger Paw because they planned to do the Ferret. Another option might be the Cobra Night Landing. That could be cool, but it also might be a bit too basic. Though I do believe we will see a Python Patrol vehicle before long, there are so many possibilities, my best guess could be far off the mark. What vehicle do you think they might give us for the Python Patrol? Finally, Serpentor. Serpentor is such an important character. They have to make him eventually. I'm predicting him sooner than later though, based on the Dr. Mindbender box art and that we are getting Sergeant Slaughter. This would be a solid mainline deluxe figure. It is also very likely, in my opinion, that he would come with his Air Chariot. Air Chariot, extra accessories, wicked paint apps. I'm betting that if we do get this figure, as I just described, we're looking at a $60 plus deluxe release. I think fans would love this. I also think this would be a highlight for the 40th anniversary. 40th anniversaries only happen once. They need to make it special and make the fans want to come back for more. Circling back to Falcon, as I said earlier, I do have one caveat to this character being released as a mainline regular figure. And I guess this could also be considered a bonus prediction. With the Tiger Force potentially coming to an end, if not at 4 figures as I suggested earlier, sometime before long, Target will get a new line of an exclusive Joe team. There are loads of options here, but with the announcement of Sergeant Slaughter and Sergeant Slaughter having signed a contract with Hasbro, I would suggest that the next Joe team for the Target exclusives will be Slaughter's Marauders. I believe that there is a good chance that we will see Falcon as one of Slaughter's Marauders. That doesn't necessarily preclude him from also being a regular release. Note the Python Patrol lineup. I do believe we will see the Falcon figure sooner rather than later. To my thinking, it is only a matter of how far into the future it is before Hasbro announces Slaughter's Marauders that will determine which version of Falcon we see first. With that said, I do believe we will see a Slaughter's Marauders announcement before the end of the year. Extra bonus prediction, we will see a version 2 of Sergeant Slaughter with Slaughter's Marauders, and we will see the Triple T. Alright, those are my predictions for 8 Yo-Jo June releases and some extra. There's no way I got all this right, but I think my reasoning is solid. But what do you think? Did I nail it? Am I totally wrong? Somewhere between? Let me know in the comments.